Welcome to Actual Scale Modelling. This is part 3 of Airfix's Heron Mark II from the Classic Airline series, and the scale is 172. In part 3, I'll be finishing off the build, and I'll actually be putting the final reveal at the end of the video as well. So when you're watching the video, just remember the reveal will be at the end. The reason for that is actually it's going to be the build part is going to be quite short. So I thought I'd place on the reveal at the end. So let's jump into this and see how well it turns out. So first of all, I'm just giving it a quick check before removing the masking tape from the wheel. And at this stage, I'm taking off the masking tape from the canopy as well. There was a tiny amount of paint bleed which I was able to take care of just by scraping it off with the cocktail stick. I'm using Revlon Aquacolor 07 Black Gloss for the prop blades. So I'm just doing it by eye for the line where the yellow tip is. I'm basically judging it from where the blade starts to widen up from the tip, the narrow part, onto the main blade itself. You can of course use masking tape. Next is to put on the landing gear cover. So there's two parts to that. One part goes on the actual strut of the landing gear, first of all, and that sticks up prominent just below, well, just forward of the nose. And once that was on, it was time to put on the rear wings. Now these fitted perfectly. I didn't have to worry about filling in any of the wing roots. I of course dry fitted these all before checking it anyway. It's one of the reasons why I painted beforehand, because I knew I wouldn't have a problem with having to fill them. And now the props are dry, it's time to make up the engine cowls and the props. These can be free moving, of course. There's a little pin there for you to place it in. Now, unlike a lot of aircraft I've done, there's actually quite a nice bit of room here for you to do this. Sometimes you have to be very careful where you're putting the cement, or clog up and it won't be free moving. Didn't have that problem here. I was able to just put a tiny little bit of cement in and not encroach on the movement part. And once the prop was in, it was just a case of putting the other half of the engine cowl on. I thought I would take a risk at this point and put on the main decals. The reason for this is I find it sometimes quite difficult to get the decals on when the wings are on. So I thought, yeah, I'll give it a try. Now, it worked out okay, but if you're a beginner, don't do this. Wait until the plane or the kit is assembled before you put on the main decals. Because you will be handling it a lot, and if you don't wait until they're completely dry, you can damage the decal. For an older kit, these decals are really good. They didn't break up, they were very stable. There was a slight yellow tint to them, which was more apparent on the white background, of course, but I didn't mind that because I never go for the pristine look anyway. If you do, you may have to print off some of your own decals or try and purchase some that haven't got any of the yellowish tint that all the decals will have. So I'm just putting on the last of the decals on the main fuselage. There isn't actually many to go on, just the main markings. There was a couple of little seam issues I had to sort out on the cowl. I didn't notice them when I put it together. I suspect the clamp was too strong for this part and shifted them slightly, so there was a little step, but it was easy enough to take care of. I used a rough file first of all, then worked my way down. There's a couple of probes to go on, one on each wing. Now the instructions say the location holes there, but there's actually no location hole. I didn't realise that before I joined the wings. So I'm just drilling out the hole now. I have to be very careful because obviously I don't want to go too deep and go into the upper part of the wing. So just enough to hold this little probe. As I said, there's one on each wing. In actual fact, I ended up knocking one off during the vanishing process, and the carpet monster got it, so one wing is missing a probe. I'm using sprue glue here to attach the engine cowls. You notice I've already put on the exhaust port. I was going to put that on at the end, but I decided to place it on now. The reason why I'm using sprue glue is there's a tiny little bit of gapping on this part. So if I use that as a cement, it will automatically fill the gap. Then I can just wipe off any excess, and then any gap is taken care of. It's just easier this way if you're in a tight spot, and it will be difficult to sand down. And so I'm just giving it a tiny little bit of sand in any bit that I missed off with the sprue glue, and then just repainting the area. It took next to no time, and the sanding was very minimal. It was then time to put on the main wings. Again, like the rear wings, these went on with no problem whatsoever and no gapping issues. They were a joy to place on, they really were. I didn't really have to push. In actual fact, it didn't take long for these wings to be attached. I didn't have to worry about pressing them in. Once the wing roots sat in there, that was it. Just held it in position for 1, maybe 2 minutes before able to let it rest. And once that's done and dried, all there's left to do is put on the underside decals and then of course apply the varnish, and that will bring the build to an end. It was a very short build, only took me a few days to complete. I would recommend this kit if you can get a hold of it to anyone. There's a couple of really good pluses about this kit. One, it's age and its simplicity to put it together, so it would benefit from beginner to more experienced builder right through the whole range of skills. But also it comes with an excellent set of figures for a ground crew and air stewardess, which would be fantastic for a diorama. Now, I didn't place this in a diorama because basically I don't have the room for a diorama of this size, so I decided not to do a diorama, just build the plane. But I'm going to be keeping the figures, and any time I need them, of course, I'll have them at hand. The little red decal you see me placing on there, that is just the nameplate, so that I know later on down the line, I know what type of aircraft it is. I noticed after the fact that I must have picked up a little bit of dirt on my brush when I was varnishing it. Now, as it happened, it added a little bit of streaking to the wings. So I had a look at it and I thought, well, I have to repaint this. But looking at it, I think I was okay to leave it because it's added the streaking in such a way I won't have to weather the aircraft, so none of the dirt marks that run over a wing from the props or engines. So it was a happy coincidence. That's why I've not gone into any weathering process on the build. So up next is the final reveal. That's going to be a short reveal. And all that's left to say is thank you all very much for watching this build, and of course all my other builds. If you haven't done so already, why don't you subscribe to the channel, and if you do, hit that notification bell. That way you'll be kept up to date with all my future builds. If you enjoyed what you see, why don't you leave a comment and hit that like button, and of course you can share the video if you wish. But for now, thank you all very much for watching, enjoy the final reveal, and I'll see you on my next build. Bye bye.